All right, so I am about to watch the movie Barbarian. I did a review of this movie when shortly after it was available streaming, when it came out or whatever. I don't know. I watched it. And the version of the movie that I saw reminded me very much of a movie called Hell Night from 1982 featuring Linda Blair. And of course, I love Linda Blair from the 1980s. She was kind of my VHS action star, horror queen kind of thing, you know. Like she was kind of the female Charles Bronson of the 1980s. Um, she did a couple of movies beginning in the decade. She did Hell. Uh, Give me a second. Um, I know that you guys will know this movie, Roller Boogie. If you know, which was the kids trying to save the roller rink, so they could have a roller boogie contest. But Roller Boogie, and for people who don't think that Cher uh, ever sang dance songs before her album "Believe," do you believe? You know, she sang the title song to Hell Night called "Hell on Wheels." So yeah, she was no stranger to dance music by the time she had her, you know, dance disco thing come out in the 1990s. You know, and everybody was like, "Cher doing dance music? Hmm." She'd always done dance music, and she'd done a lot of disco covers on her Cher show, and even the Sonny and Cher show, or whatever. You know, so a lot of variety stuff. So, but anyway, we're talking about Barbarian, right? Okay, which reminds me of Hell Night, which led me to talk about that. Okay, so uh, Linda Blair did a TV movie, I think, called Ruckus. Uh, did a movie called Hell Night. Both of those aired on HBO. Ruckus was kind of the lead into that. That's like, wow, she could do action movie. She could do action movies because Ruckus was basically followed the same plot as Rambo, or not Rambo, First Blood, a movie called First Blood that Sly Stallone did. Uh, and Linda Blair played Jenny Bellows in this movie, the widow of a Vietnam veteran, and she had probably a 4 or 5 year old son by this point. Now she was probably a little bit too, she was probably playing a little bit older than she was in this movie, but she did well with it. She was plausible as the mother of a 5 year old boy, but kind of like um, figuring at the time, how young must she have been to become a mother and still be the age that she is now. But anyway, we had Dirk Benedict, fresh off of um, the Battlestar Galactica fame, in this movie, Dirk Benedict, and he never did become like the big, huge star that he could have been, but he did a good turn at this. Uh, he's a Vietnam guy, Vietnam vet, returned home, and he's it's kind of like the people just come back and they get dropped off into the states, and basically, I mean, this was, I guess they didn't know much about the Veterans Administration. I don't know. This guy was just backpacking it through this small town for whatever reason he was there for. And there is a man who, we see this in small towns. Shreveport kind of has. We have 50 Cent. He's kind of like our guy right now who owns like a lot of the downtown area. So there's always that one person who owns like a lot of property, and they're big, and they're kind of the unofficial shot caller. And so Jenny's father-in-law, um, Jenny Bellows' father-in-law in this movie, Ruckus. Uh, I'm just going to talk a lot about this kind of stuff. Yeah, basically, is a shot caller and sends a group of yokels out to rouse this guy to find out, hey, did he know his missing son in Vietnam? And that's when all the hell breaks loose. But Dirk Benedict does all the action. But there was a thing. Hey, well, Linda Blair at this point, she's plausible in action movies, and so she did a series of action movies in the 1980s. But before that, she did a movie called Hell Night, where she's running around, sorority girls and boys, fraternity boys running around in the bottom of a castle, being chased by a monster. And the monster, it's basically two monsters. And they were, I always thought they were father and son, but in the special features of the movie Hell Night, they talk about the killers being brothers. The monsters being brothers hiding out. Let me go check this. Put some chicken on the grill here. I'll be right back. Yes, I had to put some chicken in the hot oil. I'm doing chicken, um, uh, chicken strips for dinner. Okay, so back to this movie I'm talking about. Linda Blair did a bunch of things, and one of them was Hell Night, and she's running around with Peter Barton, uh, and I don't know, Vincent Van Patten, and another actor's name. So couple of people. They kind of like maybe B-listers, not so much, not all the way down to C-list, but B-listers, in this movie. Uh, and of course, Peter Barton got his start doing the powers of David Starr, which later became the powers of Matthew Starr, a short-lived supernatural uh, teen sitcom of a high school alien navigating and kind of being chased around, kind of like like Drew Barrymore, But anyway, yeah, in Firestarter, but yeah. Anyway, or the Fury or something like that. He was the alien, and he had a guardian, uh, Louis Gossett Jr. Then they kind of went around solving problems and fixing things. The are like the early precursor to those shows like Renegade or something where somebody's on the lam. The one that did it best was probably the Incredible Hulk, with David Bruce Banner being kind of on the lam, fleeing from the authorities, and then on his way he would help people as he came across whatever kind of situation he could come across that he could help in the guise of the Hulk. But anyway, whatever. I don't know. Um, how'd I get on that topic? Oh, the B-listers or whatever. So anyway, yeah, Hell Night. One of my favorite slashers slash haunted house, kind of a pseudo fake haunted house though. And then of course, it's a monster movie because the monsters are doing the killer. They're doing the killing. They're humans, but they're monsters or whatever. And that's what this is. This is Barbarian. There is a guy and a girl, and they book the same. I've already seen it. I'm going to spoil it if I haven't already. Instead of being sorority and fraternity set up in an abandoned castle, they're in a dilapidated neighborhood where hardly anybody lives anymore. They don't really have any neighbors around them at all. There's this one house that gets rented out as a piece of shit bed and breakfast, basically, or whatever, in the most dilapidated LA neighborhood that they could think of, probably to shoot or something like this. I don't know. And the guy is Bill Skarsgård, and then the girl arrives, and they've double booked, and he invites her to come in. She comes in, and they start having a conversation about sexual politics. Like if it were a girl, she wouldn't. If she was there, and a strange man showed up, she wouldn't let him in. But he could feel safe to be let. The whole conversation kind of makes no sense because if she were a girl and she were being uh, fearful, then why would she enter the house where there's a strange guy there anyway? But anyway, whatever. They kind of flip flop back and forth on that conversation, and the reason why is they're having the conversation about the politics of the day. Now, to set up Linda Blair's character being a mechanic in Hell Night. And everybody says it when she gets to that big famous scene where she has to start the car and go under the hood and start the car. Everybody's like, "Oh, she's a mechanic." Well, they had this whole conversation about Peter Barton being a rich guy, and she being from an impoverished family or a poor family or something like that. She worked through her father's garage, So if you own a garage, you're not really poor. I mean, mechanics make money, bro. So yeah, her father owns a garage. She worked at it all through high school, and she's a mechanic, and that sets up the climax of that movie. What this movie does, it uses a conversation of the day to set up the relationship between the monsters, which is, uh, there's a monster daughter and a monster father underneath the tunnels of this house that run throughout the neighborhood also. So instead of a big castle, it's just dilapidated neighborhood. And then there's like instead of the one character that is played by Vincent Van Patten, the the smart mouth fraternity guy who runs away and then comes back to try to play here with the big ego or something like that, whatever. The whatever. Um, well, that personality kind of gets split between two of the characters. One of them is a the owner of the B&B who shows up after getting in trouble in Hollywood for being inappropriate and being accused during the Me Too movement, and then this movie was made during that time, and then of course, so it's kind of answering to that. So instead of social politics, it's answering or really exploiting. It's not answering; it's exploiting that dynamic because the monster is a huge creature that kidnaps people and holds them under the house. A female mongoloid that is because the father had been molesting or abusing her all through her life or whatever, and they basically just vanished and disappeared, and people almost basically forgot about them. But they've been living under this house, and she's like capturing these people and thinking that she's going to nurture them and take care of them and baby them or something like that or whatever. But she's strong because of her mongoloid abilities or whatever. And then the father's like almost he's so old that he's almost dead by the time we get to that part. But yeah, but other than that switch, and then Barbarian is a longer stylized movie. Hell Night runs about an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 40 minutes or something like that. This runs over 2 hours, I think Barbarian does, and it's one of those ones where it does quick changes and lots of stylized, and it's kind of told through different perspectives. The story is told through different perspectives. It starts out being the perspective of uh, the girl and the boy in the house, and then it switches perspectives, and tells you the part played by Justin Long, which is the owner of the B&B, who is a uh, television producer or something that's in trouble for being inappropriate, and it looks bad for him. So he goes away to think things over and goes to his B&B, and where he discovers the tunnels and finds out he's in trouble. More because he's got monsters under his house. Uh, and then it changes perspective, and it tells the story of the father, kind of gives a backstory of the father as to what he's done to the daughter, and to explain a little bit of what's going on. So the stylizing and pacing is different. But the original movie of Hell Night, I must not be the only one who thought that it was the story of a father and son living in this house, because the father went crazy and killed his entire family except for one of the boys, wrote a note to tell about it, and supposedly killed himself. And I thought maybe when the other monster in the house in Hell Night showed up, I thought maybe it's the father didn't kill himself, but maybe he did kill himself, and the only so and so body, I don't know, uh, yeah, you know, I guess they know. Yeah, I guess I should have figured. I should have, only so many bodies were found. And I guess they did find Raymond Garth's body in that movie because they were able to identify him. But only like one, two, three, four, five. Only some of the bodies were found. So go figure. But they didn't say which bodies were found. So was it the brothers, or was it the father and the son? I don't know. I always thought it was like Raymond Garth and his son were the killers, but it could be Andrew Garth and his brother, because Andrew was the son that, so whatever, I don't know. But anyway, this is basically the same damn story. Uh, a fucked up family, and they're living secretly underneath the tunnels in this house that run throughout a dilapidated neighborhood, versus the remainders of a fucked up family in Hell Night that live underneath the tunnels in an abandoned, mansion that's dilapidated. But yeah, I'm gonna watch Barbarian. I've already told you about it. My rating on this is yeah, I would have watched it in the theater, so I gave it the capital S for watching it in the theater. I didn't go to the theater to see it. I waited till it was on TV. So really, you get that capital S for subscription. I would pay a subscription to see it, or I'd give it an R for I would rent it. I don't necessarily know if I would buy this one. I would rather own, and I actually have owned Hell Night quite a few times on DVD or whatever, just because I'm such a Linda Blair fan. But there we go with that. Let me go give this chicken a mix around. We're almost done. I'll do dinner and a movie. Hang on. All right, check it out, homie. All I've done was take a couple of chicken strips, a couple of chicken breasts, boneless, skinless chicken breasts, cut them into weird strip shapes, and then I dredged them in this flour, unseasoned flour, all purpose for whatever reason, just because it's what I grabbed, and then let it sit in there for about 20 or 30 minutes while I was getting the pan and the oil together and everything. And then as I was getting a mixing sauce together. Now the mixing sauce is a mayonnaise-based sauce. To the mayonnaise, I added a little bit of kitchen bouquet. That's my favorite aromatic. So the sauce is going to be a brown sauce rather than your traditional orange dipping sauce, because there's no mayo in it, but there is a lot of cayenne pepper. That's ground red pepper. Some red pepper flakes, some spicy seasoning salt. I went that route, and so and that's for the dipping sauce. And you'll see it because when I'm got this last little bit of, I'm doing 2 batches. You know, heat the oil up, fry them, and cook them till they're done. And basically, that's good. That's good. And that's a pan style where I'm kind of like frying on one half and then turning them and frying on the other. The French term for that is pané, meaning pan fried, versus a deep fry. Truthfully, it's not really any healthier. It's still frying. What it does do is it allows you to be a little bit more economic with your oil if you're using a vegetable oil or something like that. But it's better to use a vegetable oil for this. It's a little bit better to use that than to say using like this is 9 grams of polyunsaturated fat, and you want to use that instead of using a saturated fat like a Crisco or something, a big huge heavy lard. You know, you're better off using a vegetable oil than an actual vegetable lard that's been whipped and I don't know how they get. I think they infuse it and something happens to it. I don't know. You know, maybe that's something that I can do is look that up and put that in the notes. But I know that while neither are particularly healthy, it's better to use hang on. With the top of my refrigerator, that gets everything. It gets a little bit of bread. If I'm not using the bread, it gets a little bit of. My family, we've always kept bread on top of the refrigerator, but it's also freezer bags are also up there. I set my bottle of oil up there in between uses, so whatever. Okay, so 14 grams of fat in this vegetable oil, and saturated fat 2 grams. Polyunsaturated is 9 grams, and mono saturated fat is 3 grams. So I'm going to have to look up the difference. We really just want, you know, unsaturated fat. I don't know the difference between saturated and unsaturated, whatever. I do not know. I do know that a vegetable oil and various other types of oil, like there's certain types of oil that are much better. Like if you got a hold of an avocado oil and you're just using like avocado oil, maybe that's even better. But just so many types of oil are better to use for frying for your heart. They're better for your circulatory in your heart. Less clotting. Better than if you use like a lard, like a big huge whipping Crisco kind of thing. And I think of Crisco for the brand because we used to see that big grease and you scoop out that big white and thing and you throw it in your skillet and cook it down and melt it, but it was always like some whipped up oil or something like that or whatever. This is it's a little bit better. I don't know that it's exceptionally healthy at all. And in fact, I'm sure that it's basically unhealthy, but it's easier to drain and it's better. I will say though, when it comes to, I use butter, sometimes and melt it, and so sometimes I'll take the oil and melt butter with the oil when I want the flavor of butter, but I want it to, but I want like a consistency that's going to do better. Then I'll use a little unsalted butter and then I'll blend it with oil. But truthfully, that's not really great for the heart either. So I need to kind of, remember all that. As I'm getting older, those things are more and more and more important. You can get away with some of that stuff when you're younger, But and I'm going to be over here and I'm going to be like using a mayonnaise, which is an egg and oil base. So you get cholesterol and oil. Let's see what that's about. Yeah, it's so unhealthy. I don't even want to look at it. But, that's why condiments for me are kind of a sometimes thing. I've really cut back. I'm the kind of person, I'm very Southern. So it was always like, hey, when I was a kid, I was a squeamish. And so that maybe kind of helped me. I didn't have a lot of sauce on my things, maybe a little mayo, but I didn't dip a lot of ketchup. I didn't dip a lot of mayo. I didn't, like the old cartoon on Saturday mornings, don't drown your food. I didn't do that. Condiments add all sorts of empty calories, and a lot of those empty calories are clotting to the circulatory system. That's not why I didn't use a lot of them. I just didn't do that. Then when I became into a young adult, some of my taste changed, where I began to eat like salads with some salad dressing, provided I could like really, really throw some salad dressing on it. And basically I loved a good Caesar salad. If I couldn't do a Caesar salad, I'd do a leafy green salad or a wedge salad or something like that. But don't put tomatoes on my salad. I got to a point that I could have raw onion if it were a good onion, But when I was, even into 17, 18, 19 years old, I just did not like onion at all. Could not stand onion. And then I had a significant change that affected the way that I perceive and the way that I taste food, and that was called poverty. when you get like really, really poor, you stop being particular about some of your food, But no, I really do think that like your palate changes from childhood to adulthood, and there is a natural instinct for the human being to avoid anything that has like a bitterness anything that it perceives as just off center from bland, really. Um, that is why the children really don't like overly spicy food a lot, and it's a natural instinct because a lot of toxins and poisons that naturally occur have a bitter flavor, have a stinging flavor. Alcohol, you go to have like a straight alcohol, like a vodka straight or something like that. It doesn't really taste, but it's got a sting. It's not it's not that great. Same for gin and things like that. And then your brown liquors, they get more pungent and stuff like that. So, and I'm just going off of memory. It's been forever since I've drank, but so these are not flavors that people innately just drink and think that they're delicious or anything. That's not what happens with alcohol. It's a toxic. It's a poison. It's a natural instinct to repel from those things, but we love the effects of them, don't we? So anyway, yeah, not everything that tastes good is good for us, and not everything that tastes bad is bad for us. But we do have those natural, cellular memories that get passed down in just instincts of a person, yeah. So a person's palate starts getting set very young as well, But yeah. And if you're a parent, if you have children, smaller children, the best thing you can do for your children, because they're not really, no matter what you sit and force them to eat, they're not truly going to get the full nutrient of what they need. Please do give them that daily vitamin, that childhood daily vitamin, especially in their growing years, especially when they're adolescent and they're about to grow into puberty and everything. Please do that. That's very important. You can get by without them, but yeah, it's do that. Please do that. Please spring for it. If you need to pass up that bottle of wine that you enjoy so that you can get, some daily vitamins for your child, please do that. Please insist on that. To supplement the nutrition that's happening on the plate, because why take chances? Yeah, we didn't know all those kind of things growing up, and yay, we know now. So anyway, let me pause the video. Let me come over here. We're almost finished. I want to come over here and get into the sauce that I've made. This really wasn't going to be a food video, but what the hell. So it's a mayonnaise base, and then I used a little bit of a kitchen bouquet, and that's where we get the browning of the mayo. A lot of this recipe, a lot of similar things, they'll call for 2 to 3 parts of mayo to 1 part of ketchup. I'm not a ketchup person. I can deal with someone else's sauce if they make it, but if I'm making it at home, I'm not necessarily going to do it. But then I put in a lot of red pepper, anything that had like a red pepper base to it. I did the little bit of garlic powder, and then there's some granulated cayenne pepper. Then there's some red pepper flakes, and then there is some just a little bit of seasoning salt that's seasoned with red pepper as well. And then I also had a couple of packets left over of, this is a secret that a lot of people don't know about. Popeye's chicken has little packets of something they called Cajun Sparkle. There's about 2 packs of Cajun Sparkle in here, and you get that. You actually sprinkle it on your chicken when maybe you are getting like the unspicy chicken. Maybe your family doesn't like spicy, but you do. Then you can ask for packs. You can get your unspicy chicken, but then get your Cajun Sparkle to put on your chicken and make yours spicy when other people don't want their spicy. Okay, so I'm getting tired of talking. I'm going to fix up a plate. I'll do a quick tasting video for you guys. There's no recipe to that chicken. Just let your chicken strips sit in the flour till you're ready to fry them for about 30 minutes. It's really good. It helps that flour cling, uh, you know. You know, I would not recommend reusing that flour if you're going to be frying frequently. If you're going to use it, you're going to turn around and use it for something tomorrow morning or something. You could put it in a bag and save it, but don't use it for anything other than chicken. you know, uh, but really, I wouldn't. I really just really wouldn't. I mean, there's so much um, bacteria that can happen with chicken, and I've seen that there may be a possible chicken recall. I don't know the details of it. Could have been spam. I don't know. But okay, let's try this out. The chicken's still very hot. Want to let the chicken sit for a few minutes after you take it out. It will be hot. More also, the chicken will continue to cook as it's out of the, dip it. The chicken will continue to cook after it's out of the pan. While it's still hot, it's still cooking. So, really hot chicken. Let's taste it. Mm. Because the dipping sauce is quite flavorful. I can get away with not adding flavor to the chicken, and the self-rising flour has a salt content, so you need not add salt to the chicken itself. Not if you're going to use a dipping sauce. This flavor is wonderful. And don't forget to watch the movie Barbarian. If you don't want to watch it, watch Hell Night. You can find Hell Night on YouTube for free. It's a great movie. Okay, love and light, bon appetit, and good night.